The following pre-recorded program is a part of the video conferencing series produced by the Instructional Technology Support Center at Middle Tennessee State University. The program series provides quality educational programming for K-12 teachers and students in the region. For more information about our programming, please visit our website or contact us via email or telephone.
Welcome to the Satellite and Webcasting Center at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm Connie Schmidt, your program producer. Pat Jackson is our director. I'd like to welcome our satellite viewers, our cable television viewers, and our webcasting viewers. We invite all our participants to call in with questions today on our toll-free telephone line at 1-866-904-8352. We're delighted to have back with us today Dr. Zaf Khan from the Department of Elementary and Special Education here at MTSU. He's joined in the studio by some of his MTSU education students. Today's presentation is Differentiated Instruction. What is it and how do I get started? I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Zaf Khan.
Thank you, Dr. Schmidt. Differentiated instruction. Wow, what a concept. This is something that I became very interested in about 5 years ago, and I continue this interest, but I'd like to start out today to talk about someone very special in my life. Her name is Sophia. Sophia is my daughter, and I remember this day. It was about 3 years ago. Sophia was 3 years old. She just started out her Montessori education in this Montessori school. And we decided to put Sophia there because we know that the Montessori method had a lot of emphasis placed on independence, self-regulation, making decisions, problem solving, a lot of the good teaching philosophies and principles. But my point is not to foster Montessori onto you today, but I just want to share Sophie's story with you. And it was a very precious story. She comes home after about 4 weeks, about a month in Montessori education. And there she is, little Sophie. Pick her up from school, bring her home. And I sit down, and the usual thing Sophia and I do, she gives Daddy a big daddy hug. And we sit down, and then she does something very unusual. She's never done this before. She reaches down, she pulls off her right sock. She reaches down again, she pulls off her left sock. She looks at it, and then she hurls it and throws it across. And she holds the other one and throws it across. And there it just lays right in front of me. And I looked at her very surprised. And I said, Sophia, sweetheart, why did you do that? You know we should not be throwing our socks in the center of the dining room, in our living room. And the most precious thing she said that day was, Daddy, and she put her hands on her hip, and she looked up at me, and she said, I have a choice. And this 3-year-old, I mean, just 1 month of Montessori, started to believe that she really did have a choice. So my question to you today, educators, do you give your students a choice? How much of choice do you build into your instruction? How much of choice do you have in your curriculum? Are you the teacher that's the cookie cutter teacher? Are you the teacher who does just worksheets, worksheet after worksheet after worksheet? Are you the teacher that is one size fits all? I'm going to talk to you about the diversity of thought you have coming to you in your classroom every day. 25 floating universes, that's the brain that comes to your class. And you have this awesome responsibility to direct, guide, mentor, and shape the experience for every child in your class. My next slide talks about you as a classroom, you as a school, making preparation for each one of these students. Did you know that your classroom, your design, your learning experience, your philosophy, your vision, your classroom management style, all of those things have relevant places for relevant students? Did you also know that when we're looking at diversity of students in preparation, in this example in your slide, if you look at your handout, the diversity of reading, Students with learning disabilities, students who are at risk, have significant problems with reading. When they come to school, when they enter in kindergarten first time or preschool, you're going to get students on a continuum from 1 to 100. And on that continuum, on the one side, you're going to have your slow readers. You're also going to, in the middle, you're going to have your average readers. And on the 100 side, you're going to have your more advanced, gifted readers. The question I have for you today is, how prepared are you as a classroom teacher and as a school to respond to the diverse span of cognitive ability required from each one of these students? Now, here's the typical response of how you respond. Most teachers in general ed respond to the center in their teaching and instruction. It is just that 30 to 70%. We're just responding to that bell curve, just that shape on the top that humps up. But what happens is that on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, we're completely ignoring those groups, our slow learners and our advanced learners. So what I hope to do today is show you that this one strategy or method called differentiated instruction has a place to actually strategically fill the gap between the 1 to the 30 and the 70 to 100, because we have all kinds of students with all types of diverse needs. If you are employing differentiated instruction in your teaching, in your philosophy, in the way you interact with students, what you're effectively saying is that you value the unique learning needs of every single child in that particular classroom. So I just want you to know, and question right now is, what is my educational response? Am I in that 30 to 70%? Is that all I do? Or am I going to expand my ways of teaching style? Do I have room for the other side, or the side where students are slow? Differentiated instruction is a very promising tool to be used specifically for children with special needs, to have them in an inclusive setting. So I'm trying to make a case for it before I start to go into what it is. So just to give you a frame of reference, starting with Sophia's story, starting now with your story, and now we're going to go into it. And my hope for today is that I'm going to tell you what it is and what you can do tomorrow to get started. And please, by no means feel that this is it. Let this be a door opener for you to look at other opportunities for training in this beautiful area. And today I'm going to talk to you about 10 powerful strategies. 10 powerful strategies that I think every teacher should know, that just seamlessly integrates into the concept called differentiated instruction. Here's a very interesting statement made by a good friend of ours, Howard Gardner. How many of you know Howard Gardner? Thank you. Yeah. He says, the biggest mistake of past centuries in teaching has been to treat all children as if they were the variants of the same individual, and thus to feel justified in teaching them the same subjects in the same ways. Wow. We are like clones. We are cloning our teaching so that everybody gets the same dose, everybody gets the same material. So what's wrong with this, folks? Don't we have a responsibility to adjust, rethink, re-envision, re-engineer our practice when it comes to teaching? The one-size-fits-all concept is something that should be of the past. As we move into the future, we need to look at more innovative ways of thinking and doing the business of teaching and learning. It is a precious time for a child to be in your classroom. The question I ask you is, how much of value are you adding to that child's education on a daily basis? What is it they're learning? What meaning are they deriving as a result of you intervening on their behalf? I think Howard Gardner talks about this beautiful point. We definitely are not all the same, and you know that. So why do we continuously teach the same? Here's what frustrates me, and probably frustrates you. As a teacher, we give out these worksheets. Class, I want you to complete items 1 through 10. You have 20 minutes. I'll be seated out here. If you need me, call on me and I will come out and help you. all students working on the same worksheet, working on the same problems, all at the same time. That's what Howard Gardner says. There's something wrong with that. Absolutely wrong with that. Now, that's why differentiated instruction comes into play, where we start to look at this continuum of learning from 0 to 100 and looking at how we can take care of all of these needs. Now, one of the things you're probably at this point asking, well, Dr. Khan, I'm not a miracle worker, I'm a teacher. I have 25 students and you want me to do what? You want me to be the special ed teacher? You want me to be the gifted education teacher? And you want me to be the general ed teacher? No, no, no. I'm going to actually debunk all of the fallacies and myths behind differentiated instruction today. I'm going to tell you what it is and what it is not, so you can start to think and rethink your position on differentiated instruction. One of the famous things or quotes I hear from teachers a lot, it's going to take too much of my time. I don't have time. Yes. They're not going to be prepared for tests adequately. I'm going to address all of these issues today in my presentation. Okay? Let me show you what actually happens. What actually happens in this beautiful, magnificent, 3-pound universe we call the brain. At birth, when a child comes into the world, they are equipped with very few dendrites. If you look at the black strands and the networks, that's what happens at birth. When they move to the age of 6, look at the amount of activity. What you see there are axons, you see dendrites, you see the transmission of neurological impulses from neuron to neuron. That does not happen by itself, folks. That happens with stimulation from your environment, plus the plasticity of the brain on its neuronal network, trying to learn and receive data. So you are intervening at these crucial moments. And what research supports is that if you use differentiated instruction, you are actually going to increase the amount of these connections in the brain. It's not the number of brain cells that is important, it's the number of good quality connections that's most important. But look what happens at the age of 14, and you've all seen that slide. We have a natural process called pruning, where if you repeat after me, if you don't use it, you lose it, and that's exactly what happens. And so what we try to do is we do a lot of reinforcement, reteaching, remediating, so we want to keep this consistent. But your window of opportunity is between the ages 3 through 9. This is when the brain is ripe for information, visually, auditorily, kinesthetically, and tactile. This is your window of opportunity. That's why we want our students to go to dance, our children to go to music lessons, or learn a foreign language. It's the most important time between 3 and 9. Okay? But why am I showing you this, Andy? I'm showing you this slide because you can understand and conceptualize what this 3-pound universe is doing in the classroom as you teach. And the 6-year period and the 14-year-old period on the slide is very important to actually it's a point in time where you have to intervene to cause what is called a proliferation of the network, and that comes from good quality teaching. And today I'm going to show you that differentiated instruction is that good quality teaching. Do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have any questions or comments from any part of Tennessee today, East, West, and Middle Tennessee? Feel free to dial in at any time. There is a 1-800 number. You can call in, and we'd love to hear from you. But if you don't get an opportunity to ask right now, I will ask for your questions throughout my presentation. Okay?